Welcome to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I'm JJ Flizanes, your host. I hope you enjoyed last week's Valentine's Day show. If you're someone who hates Valentine's Day, I would recommend going back and listening to it specifically to change that. Because as we know, anytime we resist something, it persists. So we want to make peace with things in our lives in order to attract more quality, better feeling things and to overcome some of that resistance that we create. Just quickly before we get started on today's show, I wanted to remind you coming up March 1st is the next 30-day manifestation challenge. It is free and you have to be signed up by February 26th in order to participate. Again, that's the free 30-day manifestation challenge. Go to fit2love.tv/30daym. A little bit later in the program, you'll hear more about that. But again, that's fit2love.tv/30daym. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Moira is an awesome guest and she comes back a couple more times, so enjoy. Today's show, the 7 spiritual secrets of abundance. I am very honored to have a very dear friend and long-term colleague of mine, Moira Shepard, on the show. Popular telesummit speaker Moira Shepard is the author of the forthcoming book, Top 10 Ways to Be a Love and Money Magnet. Moira supports women in feeling confident that they can actually create the life they want and that they deserve to live it. She specializes in guiding coaches, healers, leaders, teachers, and visionaries to shed the self-doubt and low self-worth that keeps them from living their passion and purpose. As a transformational leader and teacher, Moira activates deep dish breakthroughs in telesummits, blogs, articles, radio shows, workshops, and private sessions with clients from Modesto to Munich to Mumbai. Clients, listeners, and readers report feeling profound shifts and changes in their energy, attitude, and behavior after just one session with Moira. Nearly 20 years in the healing arts, Moira rejoices in the privilege of supporting thousands of people in living their dreams, including you, if you're willing. And hopefully she's got a pretty amazing story that hopefully she'll share with you today. So welcome to the show, Moira.
Thank you, JJ. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you and your wonderful people.
Well, thank you. I'm excited about our topic today, the 7 spiritual secrets of abundance. I want to get into the definition of abundance because when people hear that, they often think money. And I want people to know that it's not just about money because we actually haven't done any money on this show. Not because I'm against money. Obviously, money is energy. We deal with all kinds of energy. But before we get into it, would you mind giving us a condensed version because I want people to really understand where you've come from. And I know because I was sort of there in that transition and when sort of it all happened. So I'd love to share that. Would that be okay?
Yes, absolutely. To me, abundance is all your needs are met. All of your needs are met. Your financial needs, emotional needs, mental needs, physical needs. All of your needs are met. And you know there is enough and more than enough.
And how did you really come to know that? And that's the stories that I want to profile. Like I want to go back 10 years, 15 years to sort of what to me is that miraculous story that I think that that personal story of overcoming and transformation that you have personally.
Yes, that was huge. Absolutely.
Could we tell that story?
Yes, we absolutely can. I love sharing it. And I think that's one of the reasons it was given to me because people seem to get something out of hearing it. So basically, I had a 20-year career in the media and it all came to a halt one day when I lifted 50 pounds of magazines. Ordinarily, lifting 50 pounds of anything was no big deal. I worked out every day. But that day, within 24 hours, I was paralyzed. I could not get out of bed. I could not call for help. I was frightened. I was desperate. It was like my world crumbled when my spine crumbled. It's when you don't have a functioning back, it's very hard to get around. And I couldn't. I had 5 surgeries. They all failed. After 4 years of living flat on my back, the doctors finally said, when I asked, so what's the deal? Do I spend the rest of my life looking at 4 walls? And they said, well, yes, there's nothing left to do. Surgically, you are at the end of the road. So part of me was terrified and frightened and really wondering if I wanted to live my life that way, if I could live my life that way. And yet deep down, another part of me said, thank you for sharing, doctor. I'm going to go get well now. And so I started exploring working with alternative healers. I learned a lot about energy. I learned a lot about the power of the mind. So for 3 years, I worked with these alternative healers, and they actually did bring me to the point where I was able to be vertical for 10 or 15 minutes a day, which is a lot when you haven't been able to do it at all. So I had huge breakthroughs, but being vertical for 15 minutes a day was still really not my idea of a ritual life. So I kept working and praying and asking to be shown what I need to learn from this. What do I need to surrender? What do I need to let go of? Who do I need to be? Because one thing I found, even in just the first day of that injury, was that even though I felt like my body was my jail because I could not move, it made me see I'm not my body. I inhabit my body, but I am not my body. There is more to me than this. And that realization helped to carry me through. Another big realization that helped me to carry through is that I could pray and worry and fret over, what kind of karma, what did I do to attract this kind of thing? What soul contracts did I have that this should have happened? I finally came to a point in surrender where I realized that why it happened is quite irrelevant compared to what do I do with it. So I began using that as a way of exploring the power of spirit, the power of prayer. And about 7 years after that initial injury that seemed to take away everything and more was restored to me in one miraculous moment. It was November 20th, 2004, when suddenly I woke up out of a sound sleep at 4:30 in the morning, just realizing with my eyes snapping open, it's time for me to get out of bed. I need to start doing my part to be a healing presence in the world. I need to get out of bed now. Suddenly my soul was on fire and I couldn't rest until I got out of bed. And I found myself pacing for hours and writing down insights that came to me and committing myself, body and soul, to being a healing presence in the world. It's like I finally had a reason to get out of bed. Before, nothing could get me out of bed beyond 15 minutes a day. After that, nothing could keep me in bed. That soul lighting up changed my mind about what I could choose, about what was possible for me. Changing my mind changed my body. I got well. I have zero back pain. I am vertical all day long. I am completely healed. And in that healing of my mind and my body, it healed my life also, because I finally gave myself permission to do what I felt called to do instead of doing the practical thing.
I am so happy that you just shared that story with us. I am dealing with so many different people throughout my career who feel like back pain is something just medical or something just, and so, and not to make this show at all about back pain, but to really illuminate what is possible and what the messages are without having, I mean, you had 4 surgeries and it didn't work. And so I want people to hear that this idea of spirit, which is today our Freedom Friday Day, is all about that sort of spiritual connection, that non-physical connection and voice within us and power within us. So taking that and having that sort of heal you and that burning desire. Thank you so much for sharing that story.
You are so welcome. It's something that still drives me today. The vision keeps modifying, it keeps changing, but it's always going in that same direction to empower people by realizing they're so much more than their body. They're so much more than their thoughts, their feelings, their circumstances. We are so much more.
Absolutely. And so now let's transition that into that abundance. Abundance is so much more than just financial. It's everything from spiritual abundance to emotional abundance to connection with others.
Yes, absolutely. Connection with other people, animals, the earth, and all living things. The universe, it just expands. We and all creation are one.
So then why does spiritual secrets of abundance, what does spirit have to do with abundance?
Basically, it's like spirit infuses everything. There is no place where spirit is not. Essentially, everything in the world is created twice. First in thought, and then in a 3D physical world. Like the chair you're sitting in began as an idea in the designer's mind. And now you're sitting in that chair. The process is the same throughout the universe. Your thoughts create your life. Your expectations shape your experience. When what you desire becomes a reality in your thought, in essence, in spirit, it then becomes a tangible reality in your day-to-day life. And that can include wonderful, supportive relationships. It can include financial security and stability. It can include excellent health when you keep in mind what you desire to become a reality. That's when you are in tune with spirit.
And your transformative story is a declaration and evidence of that tuning into spirit for the abundance of physical health.
Absolutely. Because I connected with spirit and my own soul, it made my body well. So it absolutely translates into the physical. It also changed my financial life. It changed my emotional life. It changed everything, because it's like when you're connected with spirit, you're connected with, you might call, the creative void from which all things come. So when you begin in that place of knowing the true source of abundance, and that's the first secret of spiritual secret of abundance, is understanding about source. We become clear that there are many avenues of abundance, like jobs or relationships or excellent health, inheritances, lots of clients. These are all avenues through which abundance comes to us, but there is only one source of abundance from which all things come.
So for some people who are listening that are more religious, we could change out the word source for God, right? We could change out the word source for what else?
We could change it up for the universe. We could make it God. We could make it Hashem, Allah, the Akasha. It's known by many names, and all of them are right and true because they're all talking about the same thing.
Great. So if you're listening right now and you have a certain religious belief or practice that you do, or certain spiritual practice, make sure that just so that you can stay within the flow and extract what is needed for you at this moment and whatever is right and perfect for you, to change the word out. I think source is the perfect word, because source, regardless of if you believe in God, or source just sort of is that neutral term. But if it feels better for you, change it out for God or for whatever. So the first spiritual secret of abundance is to understand and acknowledge source.
That there is one source of abundance, and that abundance can come to us through many forms. The way this breaks down in your daily life is that a lot of people think that their source of abundance, say in the form of money, is their job. And if they lose their job, they lose abundance. And that can be extremely frightening, which is totally understandable. And when you understand that source, or God, spirit, the universe, whatever, is your true source of abundance, you realize, oh, there are plenty more jobs where that came from. There are other ways that I can make money. Same thing with a relationship. If you have a breakup and you feel like, I'm never going to find love again, that's terrifying. And of course it is. The thing is, that person was never the only source of love in the universe. There's only one source of love, and it can flow human love to you through many, many people. There are many people on this earth who are perfectly willing and able to love you exactly as you are, so you never have to be without love. And most importantly, of course, there is love for yourself, and Source can flow that directly to you, so you truly are never without love. When you realize that you and Source are one, there is nothing dividing you, there is nothing between you, because you are love and only love. When you recognize that, it becomes much easier to soften into the love that surrounds you all the time. Whatever physical objects or forms you may be looking at, a television, a computer screen, love is there too. And it is in here. It is in you. When you understand that love is in all things and in everyone, you can never get away from it. That makes it much easier to open up to a feeling of abundance, because you realize there's always more. There's always more of whatever you want. This is what true abundance is, and its source is Source.
Okay, so step number 2 to set the 7 spiritual secrets of abundance.
That would be worthiness. Now, our feelings of unworthiness can show up in many ways. They can range from feeling embarrassed to ask a client for payment, to a feeling that it's pointless to write a book because everything you're saying has already been said better by someone else. It can be reluctance to take a compliment. It can be a reluctance to accept someone's kind offer of help. When we feel unworthy of anything, including compliments, money that's proper compensation for what you've done, it's because you've forgotten who you really are. You are a child of the Most High, however you see the Most High, whatever you see as that which is greater than your individual self. You are as God made you. What is there not to love? How can you possibly be unworthy? Worthiness is as much a part of your standard equipment as your eyelashes or your toenails. So it's essential to feel worthy, to choose to feel worthy, and to choose thoughts that support you in feeling worthy of the good you're praying for, working for, struggling to gain. Because until you feel worthy, you won't let yourself have it. The folks at Abraham talk about your vibrational ESCO, or all the good you've been praying for is actually waiting for you to say yes to it. That's pretty much what we're talking about here. You will never let yourself receive more than you feel worthy of receiving. The universe doesn't say, I'm going to overflow you and overwhelm you with more good than you ever dreamed of. An unworthy person, that will frighten them. It's like, oh, this is too big. I don't deserve this. I will be struck down by God if I take more than my fair share. So because the universe loves you, it will back up and say, okay, honey, here's the teaspoon of abundance that you are willing to accept. Let us know when you're ready to have more, and it shall be given unto you.
Worthiness is it's really the root of all, isn't it? It's the end of everything. When you really dig deep down to the very bottom, it's that feeling not worthy enough, feeling not good enough, and really your worth. You just are. You're just worthy regardless. There's no need to perform, to do, to be, to say. You just are.
Yeah, there's nothing to prove. If you think, well, I'm not worthy until I do this or have that or make the $1 million or release all of my character flaws and to complete all my soul contracts or get a job. You're worthy already. Your worthiness is not something that you made. So there is nothing that can take it away from you. There's nothing you can do to make it more or make it less. It just is. It just is. And when you allow your ego mind to soften its grip on the idea that you are unworthy, which it does for reasons of its own, and open to the realization that you are a beloved child of the universe, and so the universe wants you to have everything, and you deserve it because you're breathing in and out. You deserve it because you are. That's all. There's nothing to prove.
I'm feeling an amen. Come on. Amen. And so it is. Okay.
So it is. Yeah. Yes, so it is. Absolutely.
Okay. So we have, and I also thought of another word. One of my, the woman who married us, who's been on the show, actually, she's done emotional cord cutting and chakras. Creator. She uses the word creator a lot. A good one too. So let's go to number 3. What's the third spiritual secret of abundance?
That one is trust. So many of us have such a hard time trusting. We come from parents who don't trust. We come from ancestors who don't trust. We come from a collective consciousness that surrounds and permeates the entire world that does not trust. And this goes way back to primitive man. When we sacrificed to the gods in order to make the rain come, and we killed the goat, and there it is on the altar, and where's the darned rain? I don't trust God. God broke our deal. We were going to sacrifice, and we were going to get what we wanted. So trust gets broken, and that's been with us for millennia. The bottom line on that, in terms of trusting that the universe is on your side, that Creator wants you to have what you want for yourself, is to realize that you've reposed your trust in something that never actually happened. There is no contract with the universe that says, because I love you, nothing bad will ever happen to you. That is not the agreement. The agreement is, I am here with you and for you, whatever happens. I am here for you, whatever happens. And you can trust that because your higher power is always only a thought away. You need only turn in the direction of spirit, source, universe, creator, and they're right there. And because they're within you. Wherever you go, your higher power is, because there really is nothing dividing you, nothing separating you. When you realize that whatever happens, your higher power is always there, then it becomes easier to soften into trust. Because the hazard of not trusting is that we armor ourselves against disappointment by expecting the worst, by reciting Murphy's Law, whatever can go wrong it will, by making affirmations that cut off your abundance immediately, like nothing ever goes my way, or yeah, things screwed up, same as always. Those are all reflections of lack of trust. That armor that you've created with words and emotion and energy deflects all the good you've been praying for. It's right there at your door, and you've got the gate locked against it because you don't trust. You would rather be afraid and protect yourself from disappointment than to trust and open the gates to all the good that has been here for you all along, with more on the way.
Trust is a big one, and I'm looking forward to when we get to the section of our show when we're going to get tips on how to increase and sort of overcome all of these things, because I know that one is a big one for a lot of people. So we have 4 more spiritual secrets of abundance, but we do need to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Are you consciously using the law of attraction in your everyday life? How would you like some accountability and structure provided for you so you can easily start attracting more good into your life? Join us for the next 30-day manifestation challenge. Go to fit2love.tv/30daym. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv/30DAYM. 30-day M. Well, you'll be provided completely for free a 30-day packet including audios, instructions, and accountability in the form of a private Facebook group where we share our manifestations with each other every day, and we keep each other accountable for doing the work. Join us for the next 30-day manifestation challenge. Come on over to fit2love.tv/30daym. Okay, Moira, what is number 4?
Number 4 is surrender. This is something I got intimately acquainted with in the course of my long time in bed, unable to move. Surrender often has connotations of giving up or defeat. And surrender is actually letting go and letting God. It's a component, an expression of trust, which is that we surrender our fears, our concerns, our belief that our needs are never met, that we never get what we want, and turn them over to your higher power. It's essential to have that element of surrender for a number of reasons. One is that when you refuse surrender, you're essentially trying to run the show. There's this wonderful saying that if God is your co-pilot, maybe you should change seats and let your higher power do the driving. That is what surrender is. It's understanding that there is much for you. There is a plan for you. You did not make it. You are living it. And everything you do is part of that plan. Everything you omit doing or fail to do is part of the plan too. You can never be outside of the plan any more than you can be outside of God or your higher power. So you can surrender into realizing that someone who's even smarter than me is really running the show here. The second component in the importance of surrender is, again, when you're armored against defeat, when you're armored against disappointment and not getting what you want, again, the barriers go up. So we want to let the barriers go down, because part of the beauty of surrender is that while your higher power wants you to have everything that you desire, it wants even more for you than that. And until you surrender, you'll never allow yourself to have it. This is where things like serendipity and synchronicity can show up. When you surrender and realize, I've got a pretty good idea of what I want, but let's just consider the possibility. Maybe God's got an even better idea. Just try it out. Take it for a test drive.
I love that idea of surrender. I have a tea mug that says surrender on it, so that every day when I have the tea in that mug, I look at the word surrender. Number 5, 6, and 7. Can we the shortened version of the 5, 6, and 7?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And we can nutshell these very quickly. 5 is giving and receiving. A lot of people are very good about giving, and they give and give and give, but they're not so good about receiving. They'll give till it bleeds, but if someone gives them a thank you or a tip or opens the door for them, like, no, nothing for little me. I live to give and only give. What you're doing is mucking up the dynamic flow of giving and receiving that flows throughout the universe. Receiving is an essential component of the whole flow of the universe, because when you're giving, someone needs to agree to receive. And when you're receiving, you're allowing somebody to give. You're giving them the blessing of giving. The universe wants to give to you. You probably have loved ones who want to give you more love than you've been willing to receive. So I really encourage you to open and receive. And in receiving, there is the giving of the blessing of allowing someone else to give to you, which helps them to feel whole and loved and at one with their higher power. So it's a great gift. Number 6 is looking at decision. Decision is huge. We have way more power in our lives than we realize. So many of us live in a state of victimhood where we think that whatever happened in our lives, it's somebody else's fault. It was mom, it was dad, it was our husband, it was our boss. And the reason why decision is such a spiritual principle is that it's important to recognize that you and you alone are the author of your life. Because your expectations create your experience, you can decide at any moment to be abundant. You can decide to be loved right now. You can decide to make decisions that work in your favor, that bring you closer to abundance now. The bottom line of the spiritual principle of decision is addressing the matter of, who am I to make decisions about my life? Who am I to make these choices? Like, well, who are you not to? To paraphrase Marianne Williamson, if you're not making decisions about your life, somebody else will. And their interests will probably be stronger in their mind than your interests. So many reasons why it's advisable and desirable to decide to be the author of your life, to decide to have what you want, which is the first step toward getting it. The last one, number 7, is aligned action. We're talking about inspired action here. We're talking about feeling inspired or guided to do something and doing it. Unconditional love needs to be the guiding consciousness beneath all of our actions to create the highest, best, and most abundant outcomes for everyone concerned. When we act from love rather than from fear or thinking, well, I can only have this much, so I'll do this. It's only possible for me to have that, so I'll do this little thing, or I'll settle for this. The bottom line here is that your higher power can only do for you what it can do through you. If you want a helping hand, you've got 2, one at the end of each arm. If you want to create a better life, it is for you to take action. The universe will meet you halfway or more than halfway, but you need to be taking action too. It's not like a sacred helicopter is going to swoop by one day and drop a pile of money on your doorstep. You need to take action. It's not like a sacred helicopter is going to come and drop your soulmate down on your front doorstep either. It can happen, but counting on it can lead to a lot of frustration and impatience. So I don't advise it. But
awesome. So I'm just going to go through that list really fast. Number 1 was knowing that we all come from source or creator or universe or God, and that's the source of energy and love. You have worthiness, trust, surrender, give and receive, decision, and aligned action. We really could have taken this topic and done 3 different shows because it's so rich with so many things. And I think that the information is so important. So we might have to break it down and have you come back, Moira, because this is so rich with life-changing concepts that for some people, some of this is just going to blow them away. And they're going to need to hear it a little bit longer and a little bit more in order for them to understand and really sort of incubate on what that means for them. So past this amazing show, how can people work with you or get more of this information from you?
I do have a free gift that's available now. I think JJ has the link for it. It's a meditation that I created called Top 10 Ways to Be a Love and Money Magnet. It's less than 25 minutes. It's got 10 basic practices that you can start doing right away. And in the meditation, you get healings and clearings and eliminations and insights. So in 25 minutes or less, you can start attracting and creating more love and money in your life right away. That's one way to do it. Another way is to book a private session with me. I love working with people one-on-one. I'm available by phone or Skype to anyone, anywhere in the world. You can find out more about that by going to my website, moirashepard.com. That's MoiraShepard.com. shepard.com, where you'll find information about how to book a private session, and you'll find other free resources to help you create more abundance in your life right away.
Excellent. Make sure everyone checks that out. Come to fit2love.tv, and the links will be there under the show, both to Moira's website as well as the free gift. Thank you so much. You're going to be back. She will be back. If you've loved today's show, we're going to be doing another show, How Emotions Light Your Way to Love, Money, and More. So, Moira, thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Thank you again for tuning in to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. If you're inspired and want more, come on over to fit2love.tv and check out our Freedom Fridays, or find us on iTunes. More at Fit to Love, physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness for the happy life you deserve.